and I am once again at the apiary, and I just got stung right here on the face. Bee came over and hit me while I was putting the smoker on. So it's going to be interesting to see what this looks like at the end of the stream. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around, and there's the apiary. And we've got a box sitting on top of Bella that has some frames of honey to be harvested from the other day. And I am going to be going into multiple hives today. We'll start by, oh, I gotta remove this stand, and let's go ahead and set it up on Carlisle, pointed down at the two hives I'll start with. So I'm going to inspect Rosalie and Esme, and then I'm going to come back and work on this hive. And I can already see I got a few ants here. So I'll probably have to treat for ants again today, but I need to get my gear on because these bees are a little irritated with me for all the work I did the other day. So let me get my suit on so I don't get stung in the face again. I really don't mind getting stung on the hands very much. I mean, I don't like it, but I certainly don't like being stung on the face. There is one advantage, and that is that the wrinkles on my face are going to disappear when I swell up. But not really worth the pain I'm going through right now. I already put some vinegar on it, but I can feel it, so I definitely got some. It was difficult to get the stinger out without going inside the house and looking at a mirror, so it pumped venom for about 30 seconds before I was able to get it out. So it should be a nice swelling. All right, where are my readers? They're out here somewhere. They probably fell off when I tried to smack the bee off my face. Well, looks like I'm going to be going in search of readers. So just enjoy the activity for a moment, and I'll be right back. Check. I think I have a pair. Yes, I do. I have a pair in my hoodie. And they're a little bit dirty and a lot bent up and broken, but that's okay. They will work. All right, put up. And I'm going to start glove free, and if I get stung on my hands, then I will put on my gloves. Now Rosalie has bees that like to enter in the top. Not even really sure why, but that's just what they do. I'm going to start by moving my helping hands out of the way and scraping the top of this box a little bit. It's got a little bit of wax left on it and propolis. Looks like they cleaned up all the syrup. In fact, there's a whole bunch of drones here. So I'm just going to pick up the big chunks of wax, and I'm going to go throw those. Well, I'll just put them aside for right now. But those are going to go in the solar melter. And the rest of this wax and bees is going to go in the compost pile. All right, looks like I got a piece of wax on here as well, and some propolis. So I'm going to clean off this propolis and just toss it somewhere where the bees can use it. All right. All right, so there's bees right here in the top, and this already has 2 honey supers on it. So this hive is doing really well. As good as Carlisle, if not better. So I am going to just leave that inner lid on and take this first box off and set it over here. And now the second box, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames of honey on it. So those might get moved into the upper box. In fact, yeah, they're going to. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to make sure I pretty much condense everything. And I'm going to put my gloves on because I already had a bee hit me on the hand. And I don't want one up my sleeve. Okay, so what I'm basically going to do here is combine all the honey that I'll be harvesting into the top box. Now, I'll start by seeing if there's any capped honey in here already, and if there is, if it's enough, 70% or higher, I will transfer it to the box that already has some honey in it. I don't really need the helping hands yet. Okay, the first frame is blank, so I'll just remove that. Second frame is partially drawn out and partially filled with honey. Next frame is partially drawn out, partially filled with honey. Or I should say nectar, it's not honey until it's capped. And again, another one partially filled out, drawn out. Now this one has some that's already capped on it. Let me bring that over to the camera for you. So what's capped is honey, and the rest is just drawn out, filled with nectar, and there's some pollen in here as well. Okay, this next frame has some capped, and it also has some wax that was drawn out the wrong way. And the next one has the same thing. Little wax, it's been drawn out sideways. All right, so let me get these bees out of here, and I'll move that wax over with the other pile of wax. All right, so this frame doesn't have much on it. I'm going to knock that down, put that aside. The next one is halfway drawn out. I'm going to leave that one in here. And the next one is hardly drawn out at all, so that's coming out. This frame is completely capped on both sides, so that's a harvestable frame. That is over 50% capped on this side and 100% capped on this side. So I'll get that last little bee off of here. There she goes. And I'm going to drop that in this box. Right. So I got 3 blank frames in here. If there's any more in the next box, I'll use those. Now this is a great little device here. So you basically sweep the bees off, knock them off first, and then sweep them off. You can use a bee brush. very soft bristles, and you have to clean them off every now and then to get the honey and propolis and stuff off of it, but you can sweep the bees off of this. But if there's 1 or 2 bees that are still on it, you put them in this box. They can make their way out, but they have a difficult time getting back into that box. So let's continue. Right now I'm setting up this box with the frames that have been almost completely built out, and then I'll be filling the lower box with blank frames for them to start filling out. So far all of those are blank. This one's partly drawn out, and one side is good. All right, this one here is completely capped on one side and completely capped on the other side. This is a harvestable frame. So here's an opportunity to see that brush in action. Knock those bees off first, and then I'll just use this to sweep these few remaining bees off. And I'm going to go ahead and pop it in here. Now this frame has got some nectar on it, but it's not capped, so I'm moving that out of there. And we'll do the same thing with the next frame because I can see it's fully capped. Yep, fully capped on both sides. So again, I hit my own hand and off come the bees. Brush off the last couple of them. And if 1 or 2 lands on it while I'm putting it in the box, no big deal. Okay, so this one was halfway drawn out and partially filled with nectar and honey. So I'm putting that in this upper box. I'm gonna start putting blank frames in here. And this box is gonna be really easy to move when I get done with it. All right, another fully capped. Well, there's less than 10% on one side that hasn't been capped. So again, remove the bees by bumping it first, and then sweep off the remainders, and that's it. So we have 10 full frames to harvest, and I will be harvesting those via a spinner, and this will be the first time I use a spinner. So I will uncap those. Oh my goodness! That thing weighs more than 50 pounds. And I moved it off of there because there's some ants on it, and want the bees to clean up this little bit of nectar, and I will be treating this particular stand for bees today. Now, I apologize, I just realized the camera was over here the whole time. There's where I've been working. Hopefully it was catching it. And looks like maybe this last frame has enough nectar in it. I mean, capped nectar, so it's honey. But this has a lot of pollen in it. So I'm not going to take this frame. I'm going to leave this frame in here. Actually going to put it into this box, push it to the wall. So I need to put one more frame in there. And I also need to finish filling up this bottom box. So got 1, 2, 3. So all these frames are plastic foundation, so I'm going to keep it that way. There was only one in here that was natural beeswax foundation, and I'm going to eliminate that from this particular hive because I want to be able to spin from here. So they're doing a really good job. Don't need the bee brush anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and center these frames first. Get them nice and tight. And do the same with this one. Get a 1/4 inch gap on each side and get all the frames tight so that they're less likely to build them up with propolis. All right. So we harvested about what, 6, maybe 7 frames from there. Take off the queen excluder, and we're going to go into our chamber. Now it looks like there's some full frames of honey in here as well, and it depends on how many there are whether I take any of them. So the first frame is blank. Just set that aside. And this one has a nice horseshoe pattern. It's got a horseshoe pattern. I also see possibility that there's a queen cup being built here, so I'm taking that out. This is all full of nectar. So the area that the brood was formerly in is nectar. And here's a queen cup that was open. So this is probably another one of the hives that swarmed on me. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one back in. And keep on moving. All right, lots of honey, lots of nectar, a little bit of pollen, so it's staying in here. And that's not a queen cup, that's really just kind of a ladder. All right, I'm starting to see too much honey, too much nectar, not enough brood. So when this one swarmed, it might not have gotten a new queen, which is exactly what happened to 2 of my other hives. Now here's some propolis that I'm going to clean off because it's a little thick. Same thing on the other side. Just clean off that excess propolis. They're starting to get a little antsy, so let's go ahead and give them some smoke. Smoker's working great today. It's that combination of pellets and cardboard. Okay, lots of nectar, lots of pollen. In fact, you can see there's a rainbow of pollen there, all kinds of different colors. I'm going to scrape off this excess wax since there's no bees right on top right now. Now last time I was in here, this area that's all pollen and nectar was brood. Okay, the rest of these frames are blank, so I'm going to go ahead and slide these back over. Put that other blank frame back in here. And let's hope that there is some brood in the bottom box, otherwise we are without a queen, which is really not what I was hoping to see in this hive. I was hoping to see excess brood so I could do a brood bump on these 2. And I actually need to check my records because I think they're both without a queen, but I can't be sure. Okay, I'm going to move the queen excluder out of the way, and this box is going to go up on top. And I'm seeing way too much honey already. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 frames that look like they have a lot of honey on them. Not a good sign. All right. Lots of propolis here. So I may do a cleanup of propolis on this hive. There's a little too much here. And I'm going to grab my frame extractor. I don't use this very often, but it comes in handy when there's too much propolis in the box. And let's also grab the helping hands. All right. Yeah, so they've completely filled up the brood chamber with nectar. Not good. So this is queenless, I'm quite certain of it. I certainly could take some of this honey and give it to another hive if one needs it. Yeah, three full frames, three full deeps with nectar so far. And again, just a ton of nectar and pollen, and another queen cup that's been hatched out right there. So there's the possibility there's a new queen in here. And I apologize, my nose is running, and I'm going to have to stop for a minute and take my mask off and clean off my nose. All right, this is an opportunity for me to check and see if there's anybody in the chat. And there isn't, so I'll just keep working. Yeah, so hopefully there's a queen that just hasn't started laying yet. I got to get this nice and tight because I've got several bees right on my face. I need to get that glove back on before I get stung on the hand. Okay, it's nice and tight. Get the glove on. And I'm going to pull one more frame because I am going to do some propolis cleanup. So I'm going to go ahead and take this frame, set it out here, and I'll smoke it all down again. And I really don't need these anymore. So let's start by moving this frame all the way back over to the center. And I'm gonna, it's a decently warm day, but it's not hot. So it may take a little effort to get this propolis off. Just a little too much propolis. I'm actually gonna just drop it into the bottom and they can have it to re-seal things if they want to. I might start harvesting some of it. All right. Yeah, there's so much in here, I am going to harvest some. So I should have brought a container out for propolis, but I didn't think I was going to be doing that today. Not enough on that one to worry about. Let's slide it over. Wow, just a rainbow of pollen and another queen cup. Yeah, so Rosalie definitely swarmed, and unfortunately I think she swarmed herself out of a queen. That's what I'm removing. It's called propolis. Okay, here's some brood that did not hatch out, but I do see wet larvae. So I do have a queen in here. Or at least I had a queen in here a couple days ago. So I see wet larva, and I'm going to look a little bit closer, put it in the sunlight, so you can see the wet larva in there. See all the white? So there is a queen in here, and I do see eggs. Okay, good. So I see a ton of larvae and a ton of eggs. So I'm going to keep going and see if we can find our new queen and see if we can give her a paint job. She most likely will be a new queen. Okay, so there's a lot of wet larvae in here, some capped brood as well, and same thing on this. So we're starting to see a good pattern develop here. Right in the center is a ton of wet larvae. So there's a queen in here laying. You don't see her yet, but it explains what has happened. Okay, here's an Apiary strip that fell down, so I didn't see it. Get that out of here. You know, I'm going to go ahead and clean off this propolis. And clean off this excess wax. So the next time I come in here for a hive inspection, it should be much easier. All right, I'm going to start moving really slow now, because I should be finding a queen very soon. She should have been on one of those two frames, considering that there was wet larvae on both of them and eggs on one. I hope the camera catches this. There is a little girl right here, right there, with red, bright red pollen. And here's the propolis, the excess propolis. This is what I'm going to scrape off of this one once I make sure the queen's not on here. Whoa. Hopefully not too many of those were nurse bees. I don't see the queen on here, so I'm going to go ahead and scrape off the excess propolis. Okay. I'm seeing some fanning, which is always a good sign that there's a queen in here. At least in my opinion, that when I see that, I think queen. Lots of little places for her to hide on this frame. And I really want to clean off this burr comb. See how it's standing up a little too high? But I got to be real careful about doing it, because that's one of the places that the queen would hide, is behind burr comb like that. Get that chunk off. Now I'm going to clean this one with just my breath. All right. Well, she wasn't hiding behind either one of those, but I still feel good about getting that out of there. And I just dropped some more bees on the ground. They were festooning and they dropped when I flipped it over. All right. I am going to set this frame aside for right now. And I'm going to get all of this propolis off of here. And we start by getting the honey off of this. Got 3 or 4 chunks of propolis there. And again, it doesn't matter if some of it falls back into the hive, because they will reuse it. I've seen it. I seen it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead. Well, there's a little propolis on here too. Clean that off. Good collectors, I'll tell you. So during the brood break, when they didn't have a queen laying, they spent their time collecting honey and nectar and propolis. All right, this last frame looks like pure honey. And it is pure honey and nectar. Yeah, that's a lot of honey. Tempted to harvest this frame. In fact, I think I will. Make sure the queen's not on it before I bump it. You know, never mind. I'm going to bump it down just to clean the propolis off of it. All right, alrighty then. So I'm going to put this honey back on the wall. And I'm going to put this frame that has some nectar and pollen closer towards the center. Oh, yeah, I'm going to clean that propolis off too. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and that's way thicker than it needs to be. In fact, in between frames like this, it can be 0. But the bees just love to fill things up. And it serves as an antiseptic and an antibacterial for the hive. Okay, so this has got a lot of blank space that they can draw out. There is some honey on it. This one's really harvestable. But I'm not going to. I'm going to put that right there. Now I'm going to slide all these frames over. And they move over really nicely now that there's no propolis. Or less propolis, I should say. I'm going to tighten this side up. Give us 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to put this frame that's almost pure nectar and honey on this side. That way she doesn't run into a honey wall. And it really wouldn't matter too much anyways in this hive, because the next layer up has got plenty of room for her to put brood. And I am going to rearrange these frames. I'm going to pull out 2 blank ones here on the end. And I'm going to slide them over in a checkerboard pattern, so every other frame is blank, and that will give them more area for brood. So hopefully they'll start drawing out those 2 frames that I just moved over. And since they are still just starting a new brood cycle, I am going to put both of the boxes back on. One is almost complete to at least, well, I shouldn't say almost complete, it's 50% complete. So this will be our next honey super. Right now it's completely blank. There's 10 blank frames in there. Some are a little drawn out, but that's about it. And this one is the heavy one. Not as heavy as that box, but yeah, there's a good 25 pounds in here. And I have no inner cover on this. Where did I put it? Right there. Now these girls like to go in and out the top. I don't know when they started this habit or why they started this habit, but that's fine by me. So I'm going to put the telescoping lid on, and I'm going to slide it all the way back, and now there's a gap to get up in there. Now if I was really nice, I would put a little ledge right here for them to land on, but they're doing okay on their own, aren't they? All right, let's go ahead and move the camera over, and we're going to go into Esme. Now Esme in the past has shown a little bit of defensiveness, so we are going to move very slowly while we're in Esme today. Rosalie seems to have calmed down quite a bit. Smoker's still going good. Not good enough though. I think I'm gonna open her up. Yeah, she's pretty much done. Okay, so I'm gonna get my smoker going again. This may take a minute. I'm going to take my hood off for a minute. Yeah, the bottom in here isn't sitting properly. There we go. Got it. Well, I had my hood off for just a minute and somebody decided that they were going to pay too much attention to me. So I had to put it back on. Yeah, there's definitely a bee that's on me. Putting in a couple pellets, as well as some of the cardboard. There we go. And we're smoking again. So let me get my hood zipped up again. Let me check and see if anybody's got questions in the chat. Nope, no chatters today. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna go into Esme. Here we go. Yeah, I think I'll go that way. Wow, lots of activity here. All right. So this is a honey super. So again, we're going to be looking at harvesting from this, but I don't need to do that right away. Let's go ahead and smoke it down, see how many of these bees we can get to go down through the queen excluder. Wow, and it's heavy. There's a lot of honey in here. A lot of honey and nectar. And it looks like the queen excluder is going to stick to it. That's okay. Probably crushed a few bees in that process. I am going to clean off this extra wax. And I put all the propolis in one pile there. Oh, there's some wax on here too, so I might as well do that. There's no bees on top right now. Easy time to clean off the extra buildup of wax. All right, so this is our brood chamber. That is natural wax foundation in that brood chamber. So I might just set that aside for right now. The next one is the same, and it does not appear that they're building on it yet, but that's only 3 frames of it so far. I think this entire box was natural wax foundation, and they're just not building up on it. It in fact looks more like they're stealing the wax from it to build somewhere else. So this particular hive does not care for natural wax foundation very much at all. That was what, 5 frames, and look at this. They're harvesting that wax. They're not building on this, they're harvesting it. They built up a little bit right here. Hopefully the camera can pick that up a little bit, but not much. If there's no brood in this, I'm going to remove this box and I'll put a different box here. So far no brood. They are filling this up with nectar. So I'm most likely going to just move this box up and let it become a honey super that will be harvestable for, oh, there's my brood. No queen cups, but I am seeing some brood. And this is a plastic foundation, so it's interesting. These bees really don't care much for this natural wax as far as building up for a brood chamber. That's interesting to me. All right, this is pure honey, and I believe this was a natural wax foundation. This is a harvestable frame. I'm going to leave that in here because it looks like I got 2 more of them. And this honey will actually be honeycomb if it's a natural wax foundation. Well, this one's not. That's plastic, so I'm going to set that next to the other plastic one. And let me double check this. No, this is a plastic foundation, so that's good. I can spin those out. Lots of propolis here. Clean off some of this excess propolis. That's harvestable. All right, I'm not sure if I have any more room in that medium. So what I'm going to do is grab another blank medium. I have 1 spot left in here. That's okay. I'm just going to grab another blank medium, put it on top, and I'm going to grab those 3 frames that I'm going to harvest. So we'll take the bee brush, and this one side only has maybe 30%, but the other side is completely full. So I'll go ahead and harvest this one. All right, come on, girls. Well, that's why we have a skateboard. So in case any bees end up inside of here, they can escape. So I now have 11 frames of honey to harvest. Let's see if this one's enough. Yeah. It's 100% capped. It's just not 100% filled out. But everything that's in here has been capped. And this probably went through a brood break as well. All right, majority of the bees are off. There's like 2 left on it, and hopefully they'll make their way out of the escape board. All right, so there was a little bit of brood in here. And that was a plastic foundation. One next to it is also, nope, this one is a natural wax. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put these natural wax back in here. We'll see what they do. I would rather put those in a honey chamber. Yeah, let's rethink all this. Scrape off this excess propolis. Just clean it up so things are easier to manage next time I come in here. I'm not even going to bother to harvest that. So for right now, I'm just going to pull this box off, and we'll continue to check for brood and a queen. So I'm going to smoke this down. And here's another Apiary strip. And I'm going to start by cleaning off all this burr comb where they connected the frames together. All right. Let's get our helping hands over here. All right, I see brood already, so that's good. I'm going to tighten these up. And I'm going to grab the frame tool. All right, drawn out nicely on one side, pretty much blank on the other. Shouldn't need the hive tool anymore. Got another blank frame here. I'm going to suspect that there's going to be a lot of honey and nectar in here because they had a brood break when they requeened. My glasses have fallen off. All right, so far all I see is drone because it stands up higher, but I should start seeing some brood here in a second. Lots of nectar, lots of honey. There's a rainbow of pollen, and then you can also see 2 queen cups. Both are broken down. And I'm going to break them down even more. But look at that rainbow of pollen. And there's a couple of drone cells. So that's all I've seen so far. So hopefully this isn't a laying worker situation. I'll explain that if it is. If not, it'll be a subject for a different day. So I see a little bit of brood. Lots of pollen, too much pollen and nectar and honey on this. Cleaning off propolis. All right, let's hopefully start seeing some brood. I think there was some brood in the upper chamber though, so hopefully there's some brood down here. There's some brood, but do I see any wet larvae in here? Yes, I do. I see a ton of wet larvae in here. All right, let's keep looking for our queen. So that one frame that had brood on it was probably right above this. And here's another apivar strip that fell down. I'm gonna look for the queen a little bit longer on this one. And I'm going to clean off the excess. Propolis. All right, so I'm happy that there's some cap brood and some wet larvae. Don't see any eggs on this frame, but I'm not wearing magnifying glasses, so highly probable I'm just not seeing it because I don't have enough magnification with these eyes and these readers. Yep, really should have had a container for propolis. I should always have one. And that's only because I'm so OCD that I like to clean it up so that the hive functions more easily for the beekeeper in this case. All right, let's continue to look for our queen. I'm looking in the bottom because there was a lot of bees festooning and they fell off. Now this has got a big gap on the side where she could easily hide. There is some cap brood here, and again, tons of pollen. I do not see her on this frame, and there's not a lot of propolis on this one, so I'm going to leave it alone. I am moving the brood closer to the center. There's more over off on one side. All right, this one's got a lot of drones on it. A lot of drones. And this is a foundationless frame. So there's lots of holes along the edges for her to hide in. I'll be staring at this for a minute. The problem with not having an assistant makes it a little more challenging. There she is. There's my queen. There she is. She's right in here somewhere. Right there. That's her. That's her. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture her and paint her. Just knowing she's here is fine. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to put this frame back in. And I'm going to slide this semi-blank frame over to meet that. And then if I recall correctly, this one had a lot of honey on it. So I'm going to put that over here up against this wall. Push it a little off the wall and tighten everything up. Fill up those gaps where I remove the propolis. The next frame is blank. I'm going to set that right here. And this last frame I think had, nope, no honey, just a little bit of honey, not worth worried about. Okay, so I'm going to tighten these up. This should be much easier to work in next time. So we got a queen, and she's a young queen. She did look mated, but she wasn't huge yet. Okay, so I'm gonna do the diagonal thing on this. Scootsies, girls. Trying to avoid crushing you girls. All right, now I need to put some frames back in here. I'm gonna go ahead with the natural wax foundations on one side. And I harvested 3 frames from here, so I need to put 3 more frames back in. And oddly enough, this is a wired natural wax foundation, and this one has nothing on it. It's actually just got a little bar that they can build off of. You can see that's just a little bar there. So we'll let them build their own natural wax foundation. I'm still tempted to move this box above, to put it up above instead, so that this becomes honey super to harvest, and I can actually harvest it as honeycomb. So let's go ahead and go into this box. You know, I'm going to bring it down over here to where the camera can see it better. Wow, there's a lot of honey in here. Ah. Let me see if I can get around so I'm not blocking the camera. There we go. All right, another natural wax. So I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to pull this completely blank one out. And there. So now everything is a natural wax foundation in that. And like I said, that may move up to become a honey super. And I may put this down below. Yeah, no, it doesn't look that way. Since she is starting over, and all this got filled up with honey during the brood break, I'll be harvesting all this. So I'm going to give these girls a little bit of honey back. I know there's enough in here, but I'm just going to make it extra sure that they have enough honey. I'm going to pull 2 of these frames out. In fact, let's go ahead and just okay, so this one here, there's not enough capped. The area that was previously being reused as brood is all full of nectar and it's not capped. So there's another good candidate to give back to them. I can't harvest it, so let them use it. Right, 1 frame left, and it's definitely capped enough. Yeah, it's definitely more than 70% capped, so we'll go ahead and take that one. All right, so that's it. We do not need to put a queen excluder on here. What I'm gonna do is just put this box, well, the queen excluder is sticking to it, so I'm gonna put this back on here. And if I end up with any excess honey and stuff, I'll go ahead and put it in here to back feed them. All right, is this lid notched? Yes. So, let's see, your smoker should still be going. So, both of these hives have been requeened, and there's not any extra frames to steal from these to get Bella or Alice going again. So I think I might go into Jacob and steal some frames from Jacob to get Alice and Bella going again. I think that's going to be it for right now. I'm going to go make myself a cup of hot tea. Hope you've enjoyed this video. And we have 2 hives most likely that swarmed, Esme and Rosalie. They have new queens that have just started laying within the last week. And then the swarm captures I did, which are these two unnamed hive, which will be Zafrina and Serena. And then we have these other two unnamed hives that are going to be Renee, and I forget which the other one was. Well, we have 3 hives that were swarms, and then we have this hive that was a swarm, Little Eddie. You know what? Let's go ahead. I have not checked Little Eddie. Eddie's been sitting here for a week. Sorry about that. Let me... No, that's not working. So because of slight tilt on these boxes, which you want for moisture to get out of them in the winter months, not necessarily right now, is giving me a problem on that. Let's try this. There we go. So it's actually a little bit too high, but I'll just bring things over and you can see me work on it. I just want to see what's going on in this box. Smokers died. Don't really need it. I'm just going to move these queen excluders out of the way. And let's see what's going on in this swarm capture. Wow. They've really built it up well. This lid's probably going to be stuck, so I'm wrong. I need to go get my smoker going again. Because when I tear this open, there's going to be a mess. Yep. Smoker is dry. I should need a lot for this. All right. All right, here's the problem. I did not put a feeder in here. So I must have got distracted and didn't put the feeder in here, and so I have 2 blank spots. So what I thought was going to be comb, they built 2 frames of natural comb on here. So I have to be very careful. There is no brood in here. So unfortunately, that's a lot of wasted energy by these girls. I need to set this someplace. Let's see if I have two boxes that are close to the same height. Now, let's see first if I can bump some down. So I got a lot of them off of there, and they're not happy. I'll flip it over upside down. Yeah, all there is in here so far is nectar. Yeah, it's an absolute mess. I forgot to put in a feeder. I left space for a feeder, and they just started building honeycomb right off the lid. So there's a brood break because the queen either hasn't started laying or she was not captured with this swarm. So all these bees have been doing is collecting honey and building out honeycomb. So this was a blank frame, foundationless, that came from another hive, and I do not see a queen. I'll put that back, put another frame over there, and we're going to check our last frame, and hopefully there's a queen on it. There is no sign of a queen in this hive. So I'm not going to give up hope yet, because she may be out mating, or she may just not have mated yet, or she may not have started laying yet. So I got two frames over here that I'm going to add to this box. They've got plenty of nectar and honey collected, so I don't need to add a syrup feeder. Because of the brood break, they were simply building out comb and collecting honey. Okay, I apologize. The queen has been here, and there is brood. There is brood in there. That's wet larvae and eggs. So she started laying on these two frames right here. So I'm going to have to pull these out and rubber band them into a blank frame and put them back. And I have to be really careful because the queen is probably in here. So I'm going to put it back on top of the box. And I'm going to pull those two frames I just put in there out. So there is a queen in here. I just didn't see the wet larva on there the first time I looked. And she may have been in the bottom of the box because I did tap that down to get the bees off of it. I wish I had seen that brood in there. All right, so I have to go get two blank frames, and I have one rubber band, but I need more. So, yeah, this could get messy. Let me go get some rubber bands, and I'm gonna get some rubber bands and some blank frames. I'm gonna go ahead and just set the camera down right here. Maybe you'll get to see the queen come crawling out of here. She's probably right in there laying eggs. So I got to be really careful about what I'm doing here. Let's go do it. I'll be right back. ahead and hood up so I don't get stung by this bee. So I do have an electronic fly swatter for bees like this. Sometimes they get irritated and they keep harassing you for several days. And that's what I have going on here, which is why I got stung earlier this morning on the face. And one of them is trying to do it right now. So I'm going to put the rubber bands on the frame first. And then I will carefully cut those off. Move the rubber bands in a little bit. I'm putting the rubber bands on the ends right now. And I'm going to go gloveless with one hand. All right. I'm going to leave this right here. So this is what I got set up. A blank frame with some rubber bands on it. I'm just going to set that one down inside, and then I have another one, same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that piece of honeycomb and slip it into these rubber bands, and then slide the rubber bands in towards the center. Now I got to be really careful because number one, there's brood on there that I don't want to hurt, and number two, the queen may very possibly be in this section right now. So I'm going to use my other hive tool because it's got a blade on the side. So what I'm just going to get a hold of this, and I'm going to try to cut right through the area where there's honey, making a big mess. But at least I won't be damaging any of the brood. And then I am going to take it off and see if our queen's on this piece. She is not. And I'm going to put it in upside down because I don't want the honey to drip all over that brood. And you can see there's just an absolute ton of wet larvae in there. So it's okay. I got it slid in one direction. There we go. So I'll slide the rubber bands over a little bit. And this one actually, all righty then. So there's what it looks like, and it's going to go in the hive. Set this camera up again. And there you go. That's what it's going to look like. And I'm just going to slide that into the box. And we're going to do the same thing with the other one. And I'm going to go ahead and move the camera because it's going to fall again. So let's bend this up a little bit. There we go. All right. So here's our other frame. Again, I'm going to cut right through the honey so as not to damage the brood. And actually, I think I'm seeing brood down really low. Nope, it's capped honey. And do I see any brood on this one? I do not. There's no brood on this. And there's our queen. There's our queen right there. And she's moving really slowly. Hopefully I haven't injured her. She looks like she's licking honey. So what I'm going to do, set the camera down for just a minute. And I thought I had my paint pen on me, but I don't. It must have fallen out of my pocket. And this year's color for painting queens is red, but I'm going to use purple on her today. Okay, I'm actually going to queen clip her. So I got this little queen painting tool and I got a queen clip. So I'm going to take this and move it away. And there she is. She's still here. Let's see if I can just use the painter. And I had her and she popped out when the darn thing. Okay. Now I know why this was given to me, because it slides too easily. Okay, so I have the queen in here, and I'm going to wait till she's positioned in such a way that I can easily paint her. So I need to like put some wax in here or something to slow it down, because it just, there we go. So she's in a good position. You can see right there, she's in a good position. So I'm going to go ahead and paint her purple. There we go. That'll make her a little easier to spot. And I'm going to release her back into the colony. So here she goes. She should go right back into the colony. And she's gone, disappeared just like that. All right, so let me put this back over here. Sure, I'm glad I used the smoker. So now I'm gonna get all these bees back down inside and put another blank frame in here. I'm not gonna, you know what, I might as well try to recycle this. I have the frame with the rubber bands on it already, so let's see if I can recycle this. What a mess. All because I probably got distracted and forgot to put in a syrup feeder. Well, this way some of their work is not wasted. I tried to lick the honey off my finger, or the nectar off my finger, but I forgot my mask was on. I've done that so many times. All right, so there we go. That's going to recycle a little bit of that honey for them. And it's also going to recycle some of that wax they built out. And I'm going to go ahead and tap this down. There, that got most of them in there. And now I have to scrape all this off, and I'm going to scrape it off into, actually just going to scrape it off onto a frame. And then I'm going to put it inside. I'm going to put it inside this hive. Remember I had that empty space in there? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to scrape this off onto a frame. And I'm gonna go wash this off because I don't really want, I don't want all this mess in here. Yeah, I'm gonna clean off the edges and put it back. They'll clean it up. There we go. Take this wax and honey and put it on this frame. All right, so that was a successful swarm capture, and it was most likely a virgin queen. So that's it. We got another colony, and she's been painted purple. So I will record all of these things in my journal. That's it for now. Write her out.